This week for reading, we're going to be reading from the book Julian's World, the stories Julian tells. This book has lots of different chapters, but each chapter is a different story. What we're going to start with is the story, My Very Strange Teeth, on page 46. My Very Strange Teeth. My mother and Huey were listening. My father and I were talking. Well, my father said, if you wait long enough, it will fall out. He was talking about my tooth, my right bottom front tooth. How long do I have to wait? I asked. Because I had two right bottom front teeth, one firm, little new one pushing in, and one wiggly old one. I can't say, my father said. Maybe a month, maybe 2 months, maybe less. I don't want to wait, I said. I want one tooth there, and I don't want to wait 2 months. All right, said my father. I'll take care of it. He jumped out of his chair and ran to the door to the garage. He was back in a minute, carrying something. A pair of pliers. Your tooth is a little loose already, my father said, so I'll just put the pliers in your mouth for a second, twist, and the tooth will come out. You won't feel a thing. I won't feel a thing. I looked at the pliers, huge black-handled pliers with long pointed tips. I thought I would feel a thing. I thought it would hurt. Shall I? Said my dad. He raised the pliers towards my mouth. No, I said, not that way. Don't you know that any other way to take out a tooth? Well, he answered, when I was a boy, the main way was with a pair of pliers. But there was another way. Just you wait. He jumped up again and ran to the closet. When he came back, he had a spool of black thread. Thread didn't look as painful as pliers. This is a simple way, my father said. Just let me tie this thread around your old tooth. All right, I said. Very carefully, my father tied the end of the thread around my old tooth. That didn't hurt. Now, my father said, stand here by the door. I stood by the kitchen door, and my father tied the other end of thread to the doorknob. Now what? I said. Now, my father said, you just close your eyes. What are you going to do? I asked. I wasn't going to close my eyes when I didn't know what was happening. This is a good method from the old days, my father said. You close your eyes, then, very suddenly, I shoved the kitchen door shut. Snap! The thread pulls the tooth right out. I looked at the kitchen door. It was a lot bigger than I was, about 20 million times bigger than my tooth. Won't it hurt? I was really afraid I might lose my whole head with the tooth. Oh, just a little, my father said, just for a second. No, thanks, I said. Please take this thread off my tooth. All right then, my father shrugged his shoulders and took the string off my tooth. Don't you know any other way? There is one other way, my father said. Go into the bathroom and stand over the sink and just keep pushing the tooth with your finger till it comes out. Will that hurt? You can stop pushing when it hurts, my father said. Of course it takes longer. I would be very glad to do it with either pliers or the doorknob. No, thanks, I said. I started pushing on my tooth with my finger. Why can't I push it out here? Why do I have to do it over the sink? When you get the tooth out, my father said, it'll bleed. That's why you take the tooth out over the sink, so you have cold water to rinse your mouth and stop the bleeding. How much bleeding? Some, enough that you should use the sink. I decided right then that my old tooth could stay in my mouth right beside the new one as long as it wanted, 2 months, 2 years, any time. I've changed my mind, I said. That tooth can stay, even if it is stupid to have 2 teeth where one should be. It's not stupid, my mother said. It's just unusual. You have very special teeth. I bet prehistoric cavemen would have liked to have your teeth. Why? They ate a lot of raw meat, my mother said. It must have been hard for a cave boy to eat raw meat with teeth missing. You have 2 teeth in the space of 1. You could have eaten mastodon meat or saber-toothed tiger meat, or anything that hunters brought home. A cave boy with 2 teeth in place of 1. I wish I had a time machine to go back to the very old days, before pliers and before doorknobs, back to the caves. I curled my lower lip under. You look like a cave boy, my mother said. You should show the kids in school your teeth, Huey said. Maybe I will, I said. I went to my room and made a sign for myself. It read, "See Cave Boy Teeth, 1 cent." I wore the sign at recess the next day. My friends came around. "What does that mean?" they asked. I grunted and held up a penny. I couldn't explain. If I talked, they'd see my teeth for free. After a while, one girl gave me a penny, and I showed her my special Cave Boy teeth. Some of the other kids had missing teeth, but nobody had 2 teeth in one space like mine. I ran all the way home after school to tell my mother what had happened. I said, "Tomorrow I'll show more kids." I picked up an apple that lay on the kitchen table and took a big bite. "Ow," I said, because I could feel my old tooth twist in my mouth. In a minute, without too much blood, it was laying on my hand. "Ow," I said again, not because it hurt, but because right then was the end of my special mastodon-eating, double-biting Cave Boy teeth. Wow, what a great story. Quickly, across your fingers, retell the most important things that happen in the story. In the beginning, Julian wants, then keep going across your fingers. Do you remember the part at the beginning when the dad is ready to help pull Julian's tooth out of his mouth and he comes up with a few ways? Well, I thought we'd reread from the bottom of page 47 when the dad is ready to pull out the tooth the first way. Remember, he says, "You won't feel a thing." But does Julian believe that? Nope, he sure doesn't, because he is nervous that it will really hurt. Get your voices ready, we're going to read it together. "I won't feel a thing." I looked at the pliers, huge black-handled pliers with a long pointed tip. "I thought I would feel a thing. I thought it would hurt." "Shall I?" said my dad. He raised the pliers towards my mouth. "No," I said, "not that way. Don't you know another way to take out a tooth?" Well, looks like we came across a covered word. What kind of word might fit here? What would make sense and sound right? What letter do you expect to see at the beginning of the word said? Said begins with the letter S. But this starts with the letter A. What are some words that would make sense right here and start with A? Well, he asked a question, so what would be a good guess? Would answered make sense? Let's check. Well, he answered, "When I was a boy and the main way was with a pair of pliers, but there was another way. Just you wait." Remember, whenever you come across a covered word, use all your sources for word solving. Sources are: check the picture and think, what would make sense? Use what's happening in the story. Look through the whole word part by part. Look for a word inside of a word. Don't give up. Try something. Take a guess. Reread and ask, does that sound right? Use vowel teams and ask, would a different sound help? Don't just say the words, figure out what they mean too. After the part where Julian says "not that way," don't you know any other way to take out a tooth? Obviously, he's very upset. But why? Why did Julian say that? What was he thinking? Some of you might think that Julian is afraid that it will really hurt, that he's afraid of the pain and some of the bleeding. Your task for today is to think about each character we read about. I want you to make a chart like this that has Huey, Julian, and Dad. Then I want you to describe the characters underneath. When you're done, you can take a picture and show it to me in an email or wait till our next Google Hangout.